This time on the Iron Empire, I buy my first Holden. Come on. Woo, out of the rain. All right, so I don't know who of my subscribers is going to approve or disapprove of my latest purchase, which is a VL Commodore. Now, I've never had a Holden. This is the first Holden I've ever owned, and for good reason. No, not good reason. I actually don't have anything against Holdens. I've always just grown up. My dad's always had Chryslers or Fords, so that's sort of tend to what I lean towards. I've had all sorts of Datsuns, but never a Holden. I really did want to get my hands on something like a HJ Kingswood or something like that. I really like that era of Holden, but unfortunately, they're a little bit out of reach in the budget aspect of things. So my foot in the door basically with a GM product was I come across this VL Commodore, and I know they're very popular with the younger crowd. Back in my day in high school, all the cool kids drove VLs. I didn't. I drove a LTD with 351 Cleveland, which was quite alright if you ask me, but I've always sort of quite liked the shape of these. They're pretty bulletproof with the Nissan 3-litre. And this one happens to be a factory 5-speed. So it's a non-turbo, so don't get excited there. But I just thought it was a bit of an impulse buy. I thought I'd buy it, do a few things, and then I'll probably cruise around for a little while and then maybe flip it. So I'm going to hit the road today, get a few bits and pieces to get the project rolling, and then we'll get stuck into it. All right, first point of call today is to head down to see Jake at Northwest Auto Bodies where the XB is. Sorry, there's no updates on that car just yet. He's got a pair of steel rims which I need to complete the set on the VL. Then head down to see Elio at Majestic Tyres. He's going to throw a couple of tyres on it for me, and then I'll head home via the paint shop. Jake's got a couple of leftover side panels, which I need one of. And now we're going to pull out a couple of stockies from underneath the Tirana out there, which are used as jack stands at the moment. So this thing's been used as jack stands, obviously, because that's what you do with Commodore rims. And apparently they're, what, 7-inch wide?
15 by 7 interceptors.
15 by 7 interceptors. I didn't know what that means, but apparently they're usually 15 by 6. I don't know these things, but 7's good, 7's wider.
So these ones come out on, I believe it's police cars, utilities, wagons.
And you can see it's got like a bit more, tiny bit of lip there, and that's actually got like a reverse lip. So obviously 1/2 inch this side and 1/2 inch on the back side gives me another inch. So 7 and a 6. So they'll go on the back with like a 2.5 or something on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever floats.
On this episode, nothing's been done on the XB because Jake's too busy like trying to restore the world. But I'm gonna work out a time in the next, maybe the next fortnight to come down. I want to get underneath it, clean the underside, and then that will be coming up on another episode. So stay tuned for that.
Just take it.
That's what I need.
Just take it.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. That's base.
This is your one-stop Commodore shop. I've also got some base coat for the bumpers and protection strips. So, all right, that's it for down at Jake's. I'm gonna head down to get some tyres on these rims and then get stuck into it. Alright, so I'm back from my run around. I've just picked up a bunch of Iron Empire merch, so check out the online store if you haven't already. I've picked up the wheels and tyres all sorted now, and I've also picked up the pooches because Charlie's away playing footy in the Gold Coast in the hub, so I've got them. Now I've got the Fairlane fired up. We're gonna have to tow this thing in the backyard because I need to replace fuel pumps. So we'll get stuck into that now. All right, the VL is finally in the backyard. Now, the main thing I know that I need to do on this thing is the 2 fuel pumps. They are both knackered. So I've got to replace those 2, but I can't be bothered dealing with fuel right now. And I don't know. I just feel like making it look nice for now. So first things first, I'm gonna get these wheels all cleaned up. Gonna give them a coat of paint, and then maybe while they're drying, I'll get stuck into the boring fuel system side of things. Alright, so these are cleaning up pretty good. They're in reasonable shape. They're only getting it Rattle Pack Special. I'm not spending big money on this car all the time, but they'll look fine. So I'm gonna get these on the car and probably red wall tonight, just because I want the thing to look good if I'm gonna be working on it. So. So I'm wiping off any minor overspray on the tyre just with some thinners, because for quick tidy up jobs I find it's actually quicker just to clean up after than to mask up the whole wheel. So it's still drying, but it's kind of pretty nice. So while I'm waiting for paint to dry on these wheels, I've decided I'll get into the fuel pump swap. Now, when I was looking at this car, I'd already diagnosed that the fuel pump was knackered, at least one of them. But then when I tried a hot wire, I had no power at either of them. So I just bit the bullet, bought 2 pumps. And I also bit the bullet and actually tow trucked this car home, which went against the grain. I wanted to get it going and drive it away, but it just wasn't a happening thing. So yeah, look, I'm gonna undo these lines here and try and get this fuel pump in. Hopefully it's not too much of a nightmare, and see how we go with it. I've undone the bolts for this fuel pump, and I've jacked the front right up to try and get the fuel sort of to the back of the tank. I'm not sure how well that's worked. Not overly well. I'm just looking at this pump here, and the lad that I bought it off claims he drove it to where it is, which is nonsense, because the fuel pump isn't even connected to the pickup. Like, it is rotten beyond use. So, and he reckons he's had it for a year. That doesn't deteriorate in a year. So anyway, sucks to be lied to, but here's what it is. I'm going to replace that bit of fuel line, put the new pump on. The pump warns you that if you don't clean out the fuel tank, that you void your warranty. I don't think I'm taking the fuel tank out of that thing, so I'll run a risk there and see how we go. Now I've got the new pump installed, wired up, and the new fuel filter on it. There definitely wasn't a fuel filter on it initially, so I dare say that's probably what sucked up and killed it in the first place. Pop it in the car now and test it. Hopefully I get some noise here, and then move on to the second pump. Well, I'm just finishing bolting in this fuel pump, and I'll wire it up. And I hope to Christ that it works. Be one step closer. Yes! I've never been so happy to spill fuel. So good. I've got new secondary pump in place. The first one's like a lift pump and the second one's maybe a pressure pump. I don't know, but I've got that now in. There is a bit of dodgy wiring going on here. Yeah, we got fuel. After I turned the ignition back on, I heard a little click here. Just heard it again, so it must be like a low pressure solenoid. So I'm going to connect that back up and we should have fuel at the rail, which is going to be awesome. So I'm assuming it's got fuel now. Can't be far off. Starter motor sounds awesome. Alright, so I'm pretty certain I've still got a fuel problem because if I spray some brake cleaner straight into the throttle body, it'll fire instantly. Whereas if I turn it over without spraying anything there, it'll fire once, die, but it will take ages to eventually fire. So there might be a fuel pressure regulator problem, vacuum line that runs the fuel pressure regulator, blocked lines. I don't know, man. Well, I suppose I could check the block if it's blocked up here. Aside from that, injected cars. Might have to do some more research. Might just have crappy fuel in it. It's got at least 5 litres of good stuff in it. Oh yeah, she got pressure. I think it's got water in it. I'm piss farting around because I don't want it to go in my mouth. I know it does every time.
Yeah, I know. I always drink the stuff.
Every time. And it's not working anyway, you prick. This is annoying. Yay! I got it. Try again. I'm done. I'll reassess in the morning. Next day, just been speaking with my mate Adam with the Pontiac and asking him about this thing, and he said generally speaking with EFI, if you've got spark you should get injector pulse. Now I've checked that. I've got a spark plug out here, and if I crank her over, got a pretty healthy spark there. So next point of call is to check this relay. I'm not sure if it's clicking. I could just try another one. I suppose that would maybe isolate it. And then start, getting out a test light and chasing wires. EFI, regretting this already. Alright, well I've been playing around back and forth with this relay and I'm not getting much joy over there. So I've decided that I'll eliminate one thing, which is double check top dead center, which I've now done, and ended up turning it around just one tooth, which got it lined up right. So now the timing should be near enough to actually fire. At least that's one less thing to worry about, and then I guess I'll work my way down the chain. Things are escalating. So here's the problem with the injectors. That's one that's not knackered, even though it's got Celastic on it. So some idiots put some sort of seal on it. And then this one, the plastic's completely gone. Game over. The VL is not going to run this time around, unfortunately. These injectors are obviously totally knackered. And I'm going to give Charlie a buzz. He has an RB30, which is going in his HX Ute, which is up in Parks, I think, New South Wales. But I know he's hotting this motor up, so he might have a set of injectors I might be able to pinch. So that'll get me going, which is going to have to be out in a future episode. So for now, I'm just going to continue on, get these wheels on the car, maybe give a bit of a tidy up and at least make it look all right. So hopefully in the an upcoming episode, we'll see some fire up action. I'm just about to bolt this last wheel back on, and I'll just be painting up under the wheel arch and painting the drum just to make it look nice and neat. Just gonna give these a coat of paint just so it's all nice and tidy. Yeah, but I might just assess the ride height a little bit before we do that. All right, well, that wraps up this episode. Unfortunately, the injector issue is just something I can't overcome before the weekend. I want to get this video out, so it's going to have to be another time down the track, but I'll get some injectors for this thing, and next time you see it, I'll be addressing the paint issues, because I don't think I'm going to get away with a patina look on a VL Commodore. So yeah, we'll be addressing the paint, tidying up the interior. Obviously I'm going to put a set of red walls on this car because that's what I do, but I need to replace the front tires. But so far I am pretty happy. The fuel pumps that were replaced solved the problem. I've now got fuel up front and it's fresh, so I'm pretty confident with that. The wheels do look way better than what was on there before, and I guess any progress is good progress. So if you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe, leave me a comment, check out the online store. I've got some new merch coming up, so keep an eye out for that. And all the support that I've had so far has been greatly appreciated. So cheers for that, guys. I'll see you all next time.